Yes.
My snacky nuts are amazing. I hope I mute every time I chew one.
I missed
Caramel
you guys.
coffee
Can I
cashews.
just tell you that I missed you guys?
Hello and welcome to Table for Five with no reservations. Take a seat at the table for a fresh, sweet, salty, tart, and pleasantly bitter conversation.
Thank you for taking a seat at the table. Welcome to our end of year episode. All right, sitting with me tonight, I have Kim McIsaac.
Hello.
Tabitha Cabrera.
Hello.
Rachel Flanagan.
Hey, everyone.
Jen Dunn.
Hello, everyone.
And I'm Jamie Ramos. It's the end of 2021, which is insane.
Cannot believe it.
Wild.
I feel like this year took a long time, but it also went by really quickly. Like the idea of 2022 in my brain is like crazy.
She thought it was 2022.
Jen's ready for the future.
So to get started, I thought we would talk a little about the podcast because we started it in 2021. I think our first episode was April 12th.
I think that's right. Yep.
It's right because it's my anniversary. So that's how I remember.
April 12th.
That's our, not our wedding anniversary, but our together anniversary.
A good omen.
Hey, Kimmy, if you lasted then for this podcast, it's a good, exactly. It's a good omen.
Exactly.
It's a good day to start.
Thinking about the podcast, let's talk about what's been your favorite part about being part of this podcast throughout the year. We'll start with you, Rach.
Girl, I just love that we are still doing this. I'm so proud of us because I was laughing recently. I feel lately a lot like a quitter. Like I have really good intentions, but I don't see things through for months and months. And my passion has been growing. I feel like our impact is evident. I'm really proud of what we've made. And so I just think it's so cool that we're doing this and that we are able to tell our husbands or family members or Jen, you've got this time right now, but hey, we're committed to this. Hey, I'm in a meeting. Hey, I'm accomplishing something every week with you guys. I think that's cool.
What about you, Tabs?
It's a nice way to process. I mean, I think we all do that with our writing, but it's by ourselves, when you're writing and crying. But when you get to share with other people who have had your experiences or can just say, I'm sorry that that's going on, or, and then I think all the people that have reached out to us who we made a space for them to not feel so alone, even if it's on a car drive. And we're coming up on 1 year, my daughter being diagnosed. And I just remember how heavy that all felt. I think back to when my son was diagnosed and feeling empty and lonely and trying to find a place for resources and searching the internet and going down rabbit holes and all of that stuff. And I think this podcast just gives one simple place to kind of find some resources and voices that understand you, and getting to know you ladies, of course. This has been pretty amazing for all of us. We made something out of nothing, which is always just when you think about that.
Yes, we did.
All the hours, all the time, all the editing, Jamie Ramos, all the people we've reached out to, these storytellers, all these ladies who are sharing their stories, and gentlemen who in the future who will be, it's pretty powerful. So
I think so too.
Yeah. And you're right. Something to be proud of, something to know that we're accomplishing every week. We haven't missed a single Monday since we started this podcast.
Which is
That's crazy.
We say this all the time, behind the scenes in our interviews, that it's 5 ladies, this many kids, this many countries, this many times. It's it is crazy.
Well, especially when we didn't have a set night. Now we have the set night to do it every night. But before, when we were flipping around to the different days of the week, and
we just live in chaos. We didn't have a set. We had a minute.
Yeah.
What about you, Jen? What's been your favorite thing about doing the podcast?
You ladies, for sure. Our friendship is what started this podcast, but just this being together. We have our date night every Monday night. It's, and like Tabitha said, the people that have kind of come into this and, talking about things that are hard, and then realizing how far, for me, how far my daughter has come, talking about the old, looking ahead. I don't know, just the friendship of the table. And we've had some amazing guests. We always joke about pulling a seat up at the table, but I think we are a fun group, and we're all so different that I think that adds all those different layers to it for people coming in. So I'm just really proud of this. Yeah, we haven't missed a Monday yet. That's pretty impressive. So cheers to you, ladies. Cheers to you.
Yeah.
I agree. And also kind of what Tabs was saying, like that it gives us this outlet that I think we all were using through writing to, I mean, I started writing because I wanted to reach out with moms who were in a similar situation as I am, to know like, hey, it's okay to feel this way, or I feel this way too, or maybe I'm the crazier one and you don't feel as crazy as I do. Now it's like we have a group of people to discuss those things with, and you can like talk back and forth. And I think also like a creative outlet. I feel like we're all somewhatly creative people. We're all doers in a way. And so it's been nice to have something that's like I'm passionate about and doing. Like I was just talking to someone about this today about, you know, the whole stay at home versus working mom debate. And it's like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it doesn't like either way. It's like if you have a hard time being a stay-at-home mom and you have to be a stay-at-home mom, it's hard. If you have a hard time going to work every day because you hate your job, it's hard to be a working mom. So it's nice that we found something that's like creative that we work at, that we all enjoy doing.
And make space
My
for.
tech support is, you know, it's just next level. So
Yes.
my contributing factor is right up there.
Yeah.
Our IT
Department.
That's me. Yeah.
What about you, Kimmy?
The favorite thing for me would be, I just really like the aspect of giving back. I like, you know, the feedback that we get from some moms that don't have support. And obviously I came from a different time than you guys. My daughter's much older. So I came from a time where there was just no support and there was just no other moms really that I knew or that I could talk to. So to me, like just to be able to give back in that aspect, that means a lot to me. And obviously I just like doing it with you guys and the friendship and the bond that we developed, and we have a good time and we laugh, and you know, and sometimes we talk about serious things and sometimes we just joke around. I think it's great.
I mean, listen, all jokes aside, we survived choosing a name and then we survived the color and logo. So we are solid people.
I really think it's important to like take notice of the fact that we try, like we have recording discussions about how we can be authentic and keep it no reservations and speak from and for different points of view, just authentically. I think that that's as much a part of the table for me as it is this reoccurring theme of how we're special needs parents, and how it's cool. I think that we've talked about so many things, and I know lots of the plan for next year includes even more discussion about stuff that's hard to talk about. And, you know, we say like we're keeping it real and raw. And I think it's important to keep bringing it.
Yeah. And it's like, I really like that we're like, you know, we're honest about our feelings. We're honest about our opinions. We don't all share the same opinion on every subject. I mean, even discussing stuff amongst ourselves, like
Kimmy, you and I are the least opinionated. I mean,
dare to disagree with me and Jen. But, you know, we all have kids, different ages, different, you know, males and females, verbal, nonverbal. We have such a mixed bag just between the five of us. And, you know, 4 of us have girls on the spectrum, which is almost unheard of even 5 or 10 years ago, that, you know.
Well, we're all very different
It's
people.
such a, yeah.
Yeah.
Good. And I mean, like sometimes that leads to us like clashing, but it's also good because we always bring a different perspective. Like,
well, right. It's like we probably wouldn't have been friends in a different walk of life. It's our having our children and just kind of walking this life together, even though the paths are different, but they're still at the core, you know, underneath it's the same.
Yeah.
We might not have been friends if we met outside the special needs world, you know. So it's just kind
I
of,
said that recently in an episode that just, I mean, it really sticks with me that we all just took this silly leap for a, you know, online meeting one time, and then we kept showing up for that, and then, you know, carved out space to make time for this. It's really just about one chance and like being real in the moment. I mean, I can probably think about a time where each one of you has been wildly vulnerable and asking for help, and wildly wise and offering, Rachel, do not do that style assistance, and like from this side of it to that.
and it's like, if we could even do a fraction for what we do to each other, to other people, like just, I know it sounds cheesy, but just, you know, letting somebody know it's okay to feel the way they feel. Like, I think that's so important. There's so much guilt that goes with this life, putting a smile on someone's face through their tears. Like, that's everything in a moment that you just feel you're at the bottom of the bottom.
I think too, like talking about being a woman, Like there's so many layered things about being a lady in this world, in our generation,
A lady.
in the social media, in the raising kids, trying to be a professional or giving up your career for your children. All of that stuff is so complicated. So
Yeah, we've been able to like lift each other up in such a way too. It's not just about support, but it's like encouragement. I mean, think about how many catastrophes we've dealt with together, and like we're just rooting for each other all the time. I just love it.
Well, I mean, I think we talked about how we kind of spun into this podcast. We are usually outside of spouses and children, of course, but we're kind of the first people we talk to in the morning, and we'll touch base throughout the day. And then we usually wind up our evening together at some point. So it's pretty amazing to
Yeah.
have that. Kimmy, like you said, giving back. We've talked about the podcast. I think that's kind of, I think, what we all wish we had when we started this journey into this special needs world.
Mhm.
I didn't know anyone. I had no connections with anyone that had a child on the spectrum. And I felt very alone. When I found you guys and we found each other, it just makes it better. It does. It sounds cheesy, but it truly does, especially on the really hard days.
We've had so many listeners that are following our pages or have found us through the various searches that our titles and subjects and series are titled and stuff. But we also recently just had the opportunity to be like a purposefully shared PSA style episode where now we're not just speaking to moms, but people that want to learn alongside us. It's just so cool to potentially be impacting a whole other network of people that just want to learn with us,
Well, I think that's also part of the ultimate hope. I think like also in writing, for me, it was like expressing to friends and family, like, this is why I'm like running out of rooms. This is why this is happening. Read my stuff. And so hopefully we're reaching people that don't know all this stuff about this world, or they have a relative or something and they can understand a little better.
Yeah.
On that note, let's go around and talk about, do you guys have a favorite episode or a favorite series we've done? Do you have one, Rach?
I feel like our mental health series is such a big deal. I couldn't really take one away from another, but I feel like it's back to that no reservations attitude about just discussing our genuine truth and hoping to resonate with people. I mean, we spoke about ourselves, we spoke about our children, we spoke about stigma, we spoke about just all of it. I feel like you can really make an impact that way. And that's what's important to me, like to just normalize this stuff.
Yeah, I agree. That one was really hard for us to get through, and I'm really proud that we did it.
yeah, me too.
I think about like these shows that you look back on, Ellen, for instance, is known for discussing not only coming out when she did, but like other topics, or friends discussing things, or and I'm not saying that we're Ellen or Friends or whatever, but I am saying like.
But Ellen, if you're listening, we'll let you come on. We'll give you a
We'd
little
love
short
to have you.
window.
5 to 10 minutes.
5 to 10, Ellen, but we're here if you need to, rebuild that image. We got you.
Jennifer Aniston, if you'd like to come learn here. What I'm saying is though, that like, it's important to me to push the envelope and not just stay in the like safe and gray. I like that we deliberately are not shy about it. I just love you guys and the safety that we've created and the network. I'm proud of that.
What about you, Tabs? Do you have one?
I'm with Rachel on the mental health series. As you guys know, I lost a family member to suicide, and in 2020. So it was very important during that month to kind of talk about mental health and the struggles that people have, and highlight that it's not that easy to get help as people make it seem, and it's okay to talk about it. Don't be ashamed of how you're feeling, and I think everyone was pretty vulnerable in that series, and it was really heavy for us to make it through. But my second choice would be our walks into motherhood. I freaking love that episode so much, when we talk about
Me too, Tabs.
how our kids got here. It's just so beautiful, and it was like at the start of this whole experience, and we were learning how to do this podcast, but I just feel like it was so natural and beautiful the way we talked about our kids in that episode. I should go back and listen to it, because I feel like
I love listening to our old stuff.
yeah, the
It's
first
my Harry Potter
series.
James.
So those would be my choices.
I don't know. I really liked series 2. Like when I'm looking back at them, I really like I like talking about, Jamie, we were just talking about it, the working versus not working, like not that you don't work, I don't mean it like that, but the big staying home versus staying home to work or going out of the home to work. I like that series. Like I like that in that series. And that struggle between the head and the heart. I really like that one.
I love that one
was
too.
really good. That was one of my
You know,
favorites.
so I think actually that was my favorite series, but for my favorite episode, I kind of like, there isn't a specific one, but my favorite to do are the no reservations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is
it's fun.
Just like our phone calls.
Kind of, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of like phone call, or when we go live, which may not, which isn't even in the podcast series, sort of, but like when we go live on our Facebook page, that's fun. I love doing those.
What about you, Kimmy?
So I kind of agree with Tabitha and Rachel in with the mental health series. I think that I'm very passionate about mental health. I struggle with mental health. I have a sister who struggled with addiction, and I think that that was our most impactful series as far as like the feedback we got from other people and how vulnerable and open we were. But I think the most fun series I would say would be the series 1. I mean, I think that one was just hysterical.
You really hit it out of the
I mean,
park.
our very first episode, I was in Florida. We could not figure out a way to get together to schedule the
Together,
first
yeah.
episode. So we were doing it and I was in Florida and I got stuck in horrible traffic. So everybody was waiting on me. And it was
I
like,
forgot about that.
I think it was like 2 a.m. East Coast time or something like that when we started. And it was just hysterical. Like that whole series there was just so many funny little parts and
Yeah.
I
We
don't know.
honestly
I
did it though, because we like none of us were nervous or anything like that. We were like so tired. We're like, well, we can do this.
And then afterwards we were like, so we did the first 2 episodes in the same night. And then afterwards, 2 members of the Table for 5 were like, that episode was awful. We're not even using that episode. It was so boring. And then we like,
That
went back
person certainly couldn't have been myself, because that's not who we're talking about here right now.
it was
I bet
funny,
the other was me.
and then we had to go back and like listen because then we're all like, wait, was it that bad? Is it that horrible? So we're like, I don't know.
In my defense, I say that about everyone. When we're done, I'm like, well, that
Now
was
we
awful.
know the pattern.
That was
we
just
definitely,
awful.
no, we definitely do say that about like some of our no reservations because sometimes we get off topic and
Mhm.
forget we're recording. But I don't know. That one was just like I just feel like we just laughed so much doing it. I also like the Halloween one. I thought that one was hysterical too. So I don't know.
I really
Oh,
like
yeah.
the Halloween one too. And no, I mean because it's Halloween. We were just, I don't know, it just worked. It's one of
Didn't
our
we
top-
have an episode? I don't have all the things up right now, but didn't we have an episode where we all showed up so god dang tired that we called an episode
I was
tired?
gonna say that for
as
mine.
a oh, sorry,
James.
James. Sorry, James.
No, you're fine. You can say it.
But like
Um,
legit, we showed up exhausted and just cashed out.
Change
Done.
the topic. We changed the topic.
Yeah.
that night.
Yeah, we did. We were supposed to talk about something totally different. That's why. So I was gonna say my favorite episode is episode 2, which is funny that we all go back to the first series.
Yes.
That's the one where we talked about advice, I think, and how
Oh
like,
yeah.
I still think back to that. And this sounds dumb because I think I'm the one who started talking about it. Like the just like when people say just do
Yeah.
this, I think about that all the time. Like even in special needs groups, someone put a question and they're like, well, just do this. And I'm like, shut up. Don't say that to people. Like
Yeah.
there's no
Yeah.
simple answer to how to get your kid to do something, especially in the special needs work. But anyway, I'm not gonna, you can hear me rant about that on that. But I love that episode we did, which was like, how tired is the woman in you?
Oh
It's
yes.
one of our highest played episodes, but we just all had a bad week. We all had just had it. And we're just like, but I think it's so real. Like,
So real.
I mean, I will say we're real on every episode. We're not even good at planning enough to have to be rehearsed or anything, people.
Yeah.
Yes, let us be
Really
clear.
good because we
This
come-
brilliance is not rehearsed. Okay? Not rehearsed. But for
There's no
2022,
practice.
my gift to the listening
take a
audience
sip
is
of the
going to be,
Switchel.
I'm gonna get a real proper, so I don't sound like I'm screaming in at you guys when I say something. Be my gift. to
A
everybody.
microphone.
Okay, so let's start talking about 2021 in our year outside of the podcast. Let's talk about our kiddos. What has been the biggest change in your kid this year, or their greatest achievement, or what have they progressed in? Like what area have they progressed in, I guess?
I think like everyone, when the pandemic kind of hit, it shifted a lot of things for our kids, all children. I don't just mean special needs children, but I think it definitely impacted on a very different level because it wasn't just luxuries taken away, it was necessities for our children to survive, therapies and that kind of stuff, and routine being so very important. So for us, my daughter had a huge regression, and I'm going to say this now, and then tomorrow morning I'll be like, I told you guys I said this. But we've kind of come out of it. We've come out of it. Her language is exploding, that kind. So when I look back on just a short year ago, where we were sitting at last December, because good old Facebook brings up those memories. Today I was like, I can't believe that was a year ago. I can't believe how far she's come.
I was thinking about Kaya a year ago.
Yeah.
Like
So
she remembers she was having like stuff at school where she couldn't go all the time. She's been
she didn't go
to school all the time.
all the time. Yeah. So the difference and that's just been so drastic for us.
What about you, Kimmy?
It all blends together. It's so hard to like realize what happened this year compared to last year, compared to the year before. I mean, I feel like the biggest thing with her is really like her awareness and her understanding is just growing it just seems to be growing every week. It's like she's just understanding more. And, her speeches seem to be getting, it's like back and forth. So sometimes it's like, I feel like it's not as clear, but then other times it's like very clear. And she's initiated speech. She took her tablet and independently asked for a brownie, and she's never done that. And when I say independently, like, I mean, like she went in the room herself, got her iPad herself, brought her iPad out to me. Like, sure, when I know she wants a cookie, I can kind of go, oh, good, get your iPad. Oh, show me what you want. And like, kind of like guide her through that. This was like,
you didn't prompt her at all.
No, like I just looked back and she was standing there with her iPad and I was like, what is she doing? She like took it out and wrote, I want brownie. I was like, okay, I better find a brownie like fast. And she had seen my husband brought me a brownie, but he got extras. I didn't know this. He was already sleeping. So she knew that there was brownie somewhere, because I was like, what? I was like, oh, someone's going to the store. And it was 11 p.m. and I didn't care.
Someone's getting a brownie.
So yeah, she got a brownie one way or another. And then I woke my husband up and he told me where they were. And it was just funny because then I was like, oh, it just shows that she's kind of getting it, even though that she hasn't done that since then. That was just that one time thing. But a lot of times she'll just kind of give us the eye, like, lady, I want something, figure it out, use your context clues. The other day we were like, oh, what do you want? And she was like, cheese. She wanted cheese for her spaghetti. And she like doesn't really do that often. She just is just growing. It's in some ways it seems like it's so slow. It is so slow because sometimes I look back to a year ago and I feel like I was saying these same things, but like she's just kind of doing it more consistently and more, I don't know. So in some ways it seems like it's very slow, but then other ways it's like, I said to my husband, I'm like, can you believe she can like say words? I mean, she didn't say any words until she was 22. And now I forget that there was a time that she didn't, because it's kind of become the new normal. So
I feel like she's always working on one too. Like it was balloon, it was dog,
she takes like her new one is blankie. That's her new word lately. And then she has her little tiger that she's really like her pretend skills are blossoming. She's always pretending and bringing him to us to kiss him. And when we were all sick, she was having him pretend to blow his nose. And, sometimes she'll use him to like, let us know she wants something for herself. All this growth in these areas, even though they're like kind of, it's in a way small and slow, but like when you look back, it's like really big.
What about you, Tabs?
Nixon, for sure, language. Like if I think about Christmas last year, I don't think he was really forming like 2 words phrases together at that time. And now he's like talking in sentences, making requests. He can answer simple questions about things that are in front of him, tell you his preferences, like talk to you about things. And then he's just like blossomed as a little boy. He went from like toddler to like full-blown child.
Yeah.
I would say for Nora, it's pretty like mind-blowing, the difference even in the past 4 months of her development and engagement with us. Some words are coming back, they ebb and flow, like she'll get some and then they'll leave, but she's making all kinds of sounds. And I think that has a lot to do with the use of her AAC device. Like we've seen like the progression of her verbal language shoot up crazy amounts since she started using a device. So, and then for the 2 of them together, we're seeing like a lot of engaging with each other that we didn't see before.
That's
like they
so
were
cool.
moving around. The other day in the car, Nixon had this card that was like, we were working on waiting for ice cream. We do this thing where we go to McDonald's after school on a certain day of the week.
And it's broken every time.
McDonald's. But he had this like PEX card. He wasn't doing PEX at the time, but it was for visually to teach him the car first, then the ice cream. We'd get in the car, we'd take the thing off. Then when we got to the ice cream, he'd take the thing off. So he found it in the car. We don't use it anymore. It was just in the car. Just tells you how often I clean my car. And he showed it to his sister. He had already asked for ice cream. He showed it to his sister, pointed to the ice cream. He didn't say anything to her, and then pushed it towards her. She pulled the ice cream thing off and handed it to him. It was like mind blowing. I didn't know
I love it.
what was happening in front of my eyes. Like they were communicating with each other with 0 words, period. It was like, ugh, gets me teared up just even thinking about it. Because when you think about your kids being able to communicate, you don't think about, or you do, of course you think about the sibling relationship, but you don't think about how much kids talk to each other and how much they communicate with each other. And for them to be able to communicate with each other by themselves is just like incredible.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
ugh, gonna make me cry. So I would
Amazing
say,
times.
yeah, this year has, I mean, when you think back at the whole year, it's really just,
That's I
Right.
think of like with our kids, it's such a roller coaster that you really have to like think of the overall, because like
I
like
think it-
we've had so much progress this year in language, and then it's hard because when I think about it and I'm like, oh, it's great, but then it's only in preferred topics, it's like this and this. We have to like be playing a video game or talking about a show he likes to get like this amazing leap in language, and then everywhere else it's like still nothing. We're still back last year. But when I look, I'm like, that's amazing. Now I know my son is capable of that in his own way, and just seeing that is like so awesome, and just trying to like look at the picture overall and not like the up and down. What about you, Rach?
You know, I've just been listening to you guys answer, and I'm thinking back to our year, and I'm trying to like place, like one of you said Christmas last year, and you know, this whole roller coaster, like Jamie just said, that we've been on. I feel like in so many ways, Sealy has gotten a lot more complicated in this year. We've begun to figure out what that means, and we've cultivated this like extraordinary team. I know I said this in a recent like thankful and grateful moment, but I know we talk openly about grief and stuff here. So my husband and I are working at the same goals right now to like process together how like sleep has gotten better, but when sleep is bad, it's still bad. And even our better is not, you know, most people's like adequate. And then behaviors, like each lane, like aggression doesn't take out our whole day, but it's like swift, brutal. It's just like my kid's bipolar at 6, and she's active, and she's like a lot of things. So we have like a lot of glitter and a lot of throwing. And I'm grateful we have built a team this year to help us understand that process, keep each other and her safe. Like we're trying. I hope that next year, you know, it's not so much for me right now about like processing 2021 because it makes me cry, but looking forward, I hope that like all of the things that we've set forth this year engage fully and provide something.
I was going to say, Rach, and from this side of the computer, which we all live in each other's lives on the other side, I mean, man, your kid's come a long way. I was doing this. I mean, you were deep in your emotion. I'm like, dude, I mean, it's been like this for her and you and Billy this whole year. And
roller coaster is what she's doing.
A big roller coaster and a lot of, you know, a lot of lows, some highs. But, you know, for her, I mean, just look at her physically. I mean, just the physical change in her, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, she's amazing. That kid's come a long way, Rachel. She survived a very hard year, and so did you. So
yeah,
I mean, that's I'm not minimizing. I know it's hard, and there's a lot ahead of you. And I'm not minimizing it. I'm just saying that kid has come a long way. She had a hard year, and she's come out on top of it. So,
and I do
feel like I'm a survivor. Somebody else can rap that.
It won't be me.
I don't want to do so many bars that the people of the podcast world are like, whoa, hey.
And I was going to help a sister out because I will tell you that Celie can sit for an activity. She lost that skill earlier in the year. She can go to respite for the weekend and be there the entire weekend.
Yeah.
She can go to a restaurant.
She can go in a restaurant. She went to the aquarium.
Yeah.
She can be buckled in the car. You know, you got
Yeah.
special
Ish.
Oh, I don't mean to be
swings.
so down and round. Like I should
No,
sprinkle
I'm just
some
giving you some
antidepressant on my snacking nuts while we're sitting here.
also can tell you, you know, things that I think are pretty impressive for her to comprehend, such as, you know, changing schools and having people come into the house and processing all of that. Like, I'm just going to highlight some of the fantastic things that have happened this year for little Celie Flanagan.
Thank you, you guys. I'm so sorry.
No, I think it's part of your year. Like a lot of
Just
it has
looking-
been, yeah. And
Yeah,
we
and
get
you-
to look, we look from the outside.
outside, right? So,
Mm.
I think it's for all of us. I mean, like
Yeah.
I said, I get these memories in my Facebook, and it's not that I forgot how hard it was a year ago, because you know, last Saturday was hard. So, but I'm just saying, it's longer gaps, that kind of stuff, and that's a positive. You know, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
But
I
those
think-
memories that come up, you forget. You
Yeah.
forget a little. I think you forget.
I
a
think
little.
too, when you're like aching in it right now,
Yeah.
you know, when you think about like Celie's aggression specifically, no, it does not take her out. She can rebound, but man, those are some serious bouts of aggression. And,
Mhm,
you know, it doesn't feel like it's better,
mhm.
but in a lot of ways, there's a new skill, which is the ability to rebound. And now it's learning to regulate that aggression. Like it all comes in steps, you know, and I know that in looking back next year, we'll have more parts of that skill acquired and we'll
Yeah.
have different effing problems. 'Cause
Yeah.
When you're in the thick of it, the good and the positive sometimes seems so far out of reach at that time because all your focus is going on just getting through the day or getting through the hour, you know. So sometimes it doesn't seem like there's been so much progress because you are, you know, kind of in that whirlwind of what's going on at that time. Things get better, then the hard doesn't seem quite as hard because you're not going through it. So it almost seems like, okay, you know, things are going, but you know, as we all know, that switch can flip in an instant, you know.
And I think that like one thing the Flanagans are amazing at is celebrating all her uniqueness and
Mhm.
her sparkle with her struggle, you know, and you've
Oh.
learned so much this year about how that functions. You know, you've learned
Yes.
how those wheels are turning a lot more than you knew last year in December. If you would have talked to me like on Thanksgiving, I don't know how many lovely things I could have pulled out of my hat. You know, like every day
Yeah.
is different.
Well, thank you ladies for holding us up.
Love you, Rachel.
Find
Yeah.
a seat at the table, everybody. Find a seat at your table.
All right. So on a lighter note, do you have your biggest win this year outside of your kids, which I know is going to be hard for us to do because that's pretty much our lives. And it can be something really simple. And then your biggest regret this year.
I'll take this one first. Can I
I was
go?
like, go for it.
My regret is that for 11 months today, I believe, I let one of the ladies at this table diet without me, just through my moral support only. But Jen Dunn has accomplished, excuse me, a snacking nut almost just flew out of my mouth, but good timing. Just snack tech. Can't help it.
I love you so much.
You have dieted and done beautifully and committed to yourself. And I will say I've added to this, I've contributed, but I have lost nothing. So my biggest regret is that I've not dieted alongside you while I supported. And my biggest accomplishment, I think, is that I'm really just trying to like honor the Rachel, not the wife, not the mom, not the friend, not the whatever. Like I really, sometimes I hang up on you guys to watch TV. Sometimes, not often.
Rude.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Doesn't happen often. It's just sometimes on the period I have to go to chips and the TV.
Yeah.
Anyways, but I feel like I'm honoring myself as an individual, and then maybe I can learn to date a guy named Billy Flanagan. Maybe like taking it back in the other direction will be better when I know thyself.
What about you, Jen?
So I'm really proud of myself. I did do a program. I stuck to it. I gained a little back, but I'm back on track, ladies. You don't have to hear about it much longer. I'm gonna try to finish out this year.
I'm just gonna say she's been saying that the whole year. that we don't have to hear about it much longer.
It's
Those
all
are
we've heard
going
about.
for all
I
we
love
hear
it.
about.
It's
I do
coming,
too.
it's
I love
going,
it
it
too.
is.
I love it.
Yeah.
And my biggest regret, I cut bangs. It's
No.
it's probably not a good choice. Probably not a good choice that I made. No,
I
But it,
take
though.
responsibility for running you astray there.
you did. Yeah, a lot of pressure that day in the chair.
You should have taken some notice about how much mine are styled and how much mine are back, maybe.
Yeah.
Took my advice.
What about you, Tabitha?
I would say biggest accomplishment for myself was the books I put together with my brother, for sure.
Yes.
That's been really great to work with him, and he's really like learned about autism and putting something out there for kids. It's been great. Biggest regret is not being honest about what the is happening with me all the time. I'm a very closed door situation, and it takes like freaking out, crying, and or other emotions to like
It takes feeling.
I don't know, feeling
No,
things.
it doesn't. It just takes our God getting down. You need like a bulldozer to knock it down.
Or she just randomly tells us something and she'll be like, oh, I never told you guys that. And we're like, nope. And
Sorry, that door's been closed. You never
Drop
slipped a note
that.
underneath it. Sorry.
Oh, it's like a
Yeah.
treasure chest of feelings over
Love
here,
her.
people. Locked with a key. I will say I am working on it. I'm learning about myself. I'm trying to understand that I don't have to manage everything all the time and
Oh
just
my
let
God.
it be.
Write that book.
Let it be.
let
Let
it
it
be.
be.
Yes.
So that's my biggest regret this year. And every year before that of my life.
All of the years I was stacking bricks on that goddamn wall.
All of the years.
Do you have anything in mind, Kimmy?
No, I'm practically perfect in every way, Jamie.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. There are some things that I have. I think the biggest thing, my biggest regret is letting other people take up space in my head and take time away from my family.
Yes.
And a lot of it's my own stuff, but it's just, and it's multiple facets. It's not one thing that does this. It's just a lot of things. And then when I look back, it's like these things really aren't that important to take
Space
that
in your
time.
life.
There's some stuff, with my mom and stuff that I just go back and forth with. And I think that's something I just have to learn to not do. I'm just a helper and I'm a giver. And I mean, sometimes I'm not perfect, but I'm just saying it is my way to try to help people, but sometimes it's at the expense of myself or my mental health. It's just very hard for me because it's against my nature. But then it's, who's being ignored? My husband's being ignored, not ignored, but do you know what I'm saying? It's just kind of like all these things, or they get the wrath of like me taking all that stuff in because now someone asks me a question and I'm like, bah! And then I mean, my biggest accomplishment I would say is the podcast. I mean, that's something that I'm pretty proud of and I'm passionate about. I don't know, I feel like I regret so much stuff, but then it's like stuff that doesn't really matter. Like I'm always just like, I should, work with Alyssa more. I should,
Oh, yes.
do all this stuff. But then it's like,
I
my
didn't
husband's
mean,
always
oh,
like,
yes, to you should work with her more. I meant, oh, yes, I do the same thing as far as
take it like that.
the
It's just like all these things. I just think it's like, it's really bad about being a mom. You
Yes.
take on so much stuff that like really is not in your control to necessarily, I already don't sleep as it is. I already do all this stuff and run a daycare and I'm dealing with COVID and I'm doing a podcast and I'm trying to do my own page and be a wife and I have 2 teenagers and you know what I mean? It's all the stuff I really can only like actually do so much. It still makes you feel like you don't do enough,
Kim, you and I were talking recently, and like I said to you, well, you just got to think you don't matter that much. Like you just got to,
Oh yeah.
like
Yep.
that kind of stuff. Like there's just little things that finally stick, or like a pampered parent magnet saying, or like a little card
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
It's like, I know that for you, finding a good mantra can change your paradigm quick,
Yeah, well, sometimes it is like you see something and you're like, but then I'm like, wait, am I that important that I'm the focus on this person's life? Probably not.
Yeah.
That's a good little reminder because, sometimes I'll assume somebody's mad about something and then I'll have this whole conversation in my head that's not actually in my head. And I actually get mad at the other person about what they're saying in my own head.
Yeah.
Then the person's like, hey, and I'm like, oh, hey.
I think we've all learned that we all do that a little bit.
Yes.
But when Rachel said what Rachel said one time, she's like, we're just not that, I don't think we're that important. I think she was actually saying it to Jen. And I was like, oh yeah, that's just a good thing to, even
I
if
say that all the time. Like, even to Billy, he'll wake up and think that somebody got out of their bed, got dressed as quickly as they did to get to their car just to get in the turn lane in front of him. Like they woke up, they were given life just to cut his car off. It's like, nobody's out to get you, man. Just calm down. We are not that big of a deal.
Exactly.
So for me, going out of my comfort zone, which is hard for me, especially after like my first few years of motherhood, I feel like I changed a lot as a person. Like in college, I was in film school and I was like producing and directing, and I was really like assertive and sure of myself. And I totally lost that when I became a mom. And this year, I feel like I've really gained a lot of that back. I've also,
I love that.
At the same time, I've realized I'm really bad. I mean, I've talked about this so many times. I'm really bad about saying no to things. I'm really bad at like riding this line between I want to try to help people and do things, but I also don't always need to help people and do things. So I need to work on that. Like, I think I have been a lot better towards the end of the year about saying no to certain people and certain things and delegating like other responsibilities in my life out to other people. I think I just need to work on that more. So that's probably like, that's not my biggest regret, but that's something I think I need to work on. I think my biggest regret is like, I don't know. I think like within my assertiveness, I've probably offended some people, or I've spoken my mind to people. And we were actually just talking about this the other night, where like in your head, you're like preparing to do something, but that person doesn't see it coming. And not that I like went off or out at anybody, but I think kind of in me, like standing up for myself, people didn't see that coming. So to them, they felt affronted as if I just chose them or that situation to do that. And it's like, no, I'm kind of just doing this overall, and I'm not going to be walked over anymore. In that, it was like, well, I'm not going to let you walk over me and get away with that. So I don't know. So I'm like proud of my biggest regret in a way. That like
I love that.
I feel a lot lighter coming out of it. I very much regret that people's feelings have been hurt along the way. I guess I do very, very much regret that, and that eats me up because I'm a big people pleaser in the end of the day. So that really makes me feel bad.
Do you believe it? Okay.
But I think that's it for 2021.
Yeah, great
Love
wrap up.
it.
Really
Wrapping up.
excited to go into 2022. Like I am so excited to have you guys now going into a whole new year. We
Yeah.
into the last year together, but we are 1,000
Something.
times closer now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like we're doing something. We've met some amazing people. There's exciting new things coming.
2022. Get ready, people. Table for 5 coming at you.
Mm-hmm.
And we're so grateful for everyone who's joined us on this journey. We have met some amazing women. You guys have written all of us beautiful, amazing things. And we want you guys to know we're proud of all of you for trying and getting through this life. And we are so excited to be here with you. See you guys next year.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thanks for listening. Happy New Year.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for joining us at the table for 2021. We're so grateful for you guys, and we can't wait to go into 2022 with you. If you are enjoying the podcast and where you're listening allows, we would appreciate if you could rate and review us. You can also leave a review on our Facebook page. Make sure you're following us on Facebook and Instagram. To contact us, you can DM us there, or you can email us at tablefor5podcast@gmail.com. We have new episodes every Monday. Join us next week. Bye.